The HSS Nightingale drifted through the void, its white hull stained with scorch marks and stellar dust. To any passing Meridian patrol, it looked like just another human refugee vessel, outdated, primitive, and barely worth the energy it would take to destroy it. The ship's medical cross emblem was faded but still visible, a silent declaration of its non-combat status. In the dimly lit bridge, Dr. Sarah Chen watched the massive Meridian battleship pass overhead, its living hull rippling with patterns of bioluminescent light. The alien vessel was beautiful in its own way, a masterpiece of organic engineering that put human technology to shame. Or so the Meridians believed. Scanning sweep incoming. Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez reported from her station, fingers dancing over the neural interface panels. Maintaining minimal life support signatures. They're seeing exactly what they expect to see. A basic human medical transport running on emergency power. Sarah nodded, her dark eyes never leaving the Meridian vessel. After 6 months of careful planning, their disguise was perfect. The Nightingale's true nature lay hidden beneath layers of carefully crafted deception, each system masked to appear primitive and harmless. Status of the nursery, she asked quietly, using their code word for the ship's most precious cargo. Dr. James Kumar's voice came through the comm, steady and precise. All cultures are stable. The adaptive sequences are maintaining dormancy exactly as designed. Even if they board us, they'll only see standard quarantine facilities. The Meridian battleship continued its patrol route, not even bothering to hail the human vessel. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The aliens' arrogance was their greatest weakness. They had conquered Earth's outer colonies with ease, their organic technology so far beyond conventional human engineering that resistance seemed futile. Their living ships could heal from most damage. Their neural interfaces made human computers look like children's toys, and their bioengineered weapons cut through traditional defenses like paper. But they had never bothered to truly study human medical science. Why would they? Their organic technology had solved most medical problems centuries ago. Human medicine, with its crude drugs and mechanical interventions, was seen as barbaric and primitive. Message from engineering, Maya reported. Dr. Torres says the cellular camouflage is holding steady. The ship's energy signature matches a standard fusion reactor perfectly. Sarah moved to the central console, reviewing the sensor data. The Nightingale's true power source, a revolutionary bioreactor that merged human and Meridian technology, remained perfectly hidden. The aliens were looking for energy signatures they understood, either primitive human systems or their own advanced organic technology. They weren't prepared for something that combined both. Captain, Maya's voice held a note of tension. We're picking up a distress call. Human frequency, civilian medical transport about 3 light minutes out. Sarah frowned. This wasn't part of the plan. They were on a strict timeline to reach the Meridian Medical Center in the Arcturus system. Any delay could jeopardize their mission, but they were still a medical ship, bound by oaths that went beyond military necessity. Put it through, she ordered. A scratchy voice filled the bridge, desperate and afraid. This is the medical transport Rising Hope to any human vessels in range. We have critical patients aboard, and our life support is failing. Please respond. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment. The Rising Hope. She knew that ship. It had been part of the civilian evacuation fleet when the Meridians took New Sydney. If they were out here, something had gone very wrong. Distance to nearest Meridian patrol, she asked. Maya checked her displays. Nearest known patrol is 40 minutes out, assuming standard routes. We could reach the Rising Hope in 20. Sarah opened a channel to engineering. Dr. Torres, if we power up to rescue speed, can you maintain our camouflage? Yes, but we'll need to vent excess heat within 2 hours or risk detection. Torres replied. The cellular matrices can only absorb so much energy before they start showing signs of activity. It was a risk. The Nightingale carried humanity's best hope for survival, a bioengineered system capable of turning the Meridian's organic technology against them. If they were discovered, everything would be lost. But they couldn't just leave civilians to die. "Plot an intercept course," Sarah ordered. "But be ready to abort if we detect any unusual meridian activity, and alert Dr. Kumar to prepare the quarantine bay. We don't know what kind of medical cases we're dealing with." The Nightingale's engines came to life, still maintaining the signature of a much older vessel. As they changed course, Sarah studied the tactical display. The Meridian's patrol patterns were predictable. They never expected humans to understand the complex biological rhythms that governed their ship's movements. But Sarah's team had spent years studying those patterns, learning to hide in the gaps between the pulses of their organic sensors. "Dr. Chen," Kumar's voice came through again. "If we take on survivors, how do we maintain security?" "The nursery. We'll keep them in the outer medical bay," Sarah replied. "As far as they'll know, we're just another refugee ship. The quarantine protocols will give us an excuse to limit their movement." The real question was whether they could spare the resources. The Nightingale's mission was too important to risk, but Sarah hadn't become a doctor to abandon people in need. Sometimes the hardest part of command was balancing competing obligations. "Contact in 15 minutes, Maya reported. "I'm picking up their power readings now. Their life support really is failing. Oxygen recycling systems are barely functioning." Sarah moved to the medical station, reviewing the incoming data. "How many patients?" "Preliminary scan shows 32 life signs. Multiple critical cases according to their transmission. 32 souls. 32 lives balanced against the millions who would die if the Nightingale failed to reach its target." But Sarah remembered something her mentor had told her during the darkest days after Earth fell. "The moment we stop helping those we can save because we're focused on a greater good is the moment we become what we're fighting against." "Take us in," she ordered, "but maintain full alert status. If anything feels wrong, we abort immediately." The Nightingale accelerated smoothly, its sophisticated engines still masquerading as primitive fusion drives. On the surface, it was just another human medical ship doing its duty. Below that surface, hidden behind layers of biological and technological deception, humanity's greatest secret continued its careful growth, waiting for the moment when the Meridians would finally learn that they had underestimated human ingenuity for the last time. Sarah watched the distance to the Rising Hope decrease on her display. She couldn't know if this rescue would help or hinder their ultimate mission, but she knew it was the right thing to do. Sometimes victory came not from grand strategies, but from holding onto your humanity, even in the darkest moments. The next few hours would show whether that decision would save or doom them all. The Rising Hope's passengers huddled in the Nightingale's outer medical bay, their faces showing equal measures of relief and suspicion. Dr. Sarah Chen understood their wariness. In these dark times, even help from fellow humans could mask hidden dangers. She moved among them professionally, checking vital signs and reviewing treatment plans, maintaining the image of a simple medical transport captain. "The critical cases are stabilized," Dr. Kumar reported quietly, joining her near the quarantine barrier. "But there's something odd about their radiation exposure patterns. They don't match standard space exposure." Sarah nodded slightly, having noticed the same thing. These weren't just refugee casualties. They'd been exposed to something specific, something engineered. The question was whether it was intentional. In her private lab, deep within the Nightingale's restricted sections, screens displayed the analysis of blood samples taken from their new passengers. The results confirmed her suspicions. "Maya, show me the Rising Hope's projected course before their life support failed." The tactical display lit up, showing a dotted line that passed suspiciously close to a known Meridian research facility. Sarah's hands tightened on the edge of her desk. They were probing Meridian defenses, looking for weaknesses in their biological systems. "Just like us," Maya said softly, "but without the advantages we have." Sarah turned to the sealed chamber that occupied one wall of her lab. Inside, barely visible through the frosted containment field, thousands of modified cellular cultures pulsed with a faint bioluminescence. the product of 10 years of secret research, combining captured meridian biotechnology with advanced human genetic engineering. They called it the Prometheus Protocol, a viral system designed to infiltrate and reprogram the meridian's organic technology. "Dr. Torres," she called over the comm, "how long can we maintain our current passenger load without compromising the mission?" 48 hours maximum, Torres replied. "After that, the heat signature from life support will exceed our camouflage capabilities." It was enough time to reach a refugee waypoint, but that would mean a significant detour. Sarah studied the tactical display again, noting the patterns of meridian patrol movements. There was another option, one that was either brilliant or suicidal. "Maya, show me the location of the nearest meridian medical facility." The display shifted, highlighting a massive space station orbiting a gas giant. Unlike human stations, this one appeared to be growing, its organic architecture constantly adapting and evolving. The facility processed thousands of patients daily, both meridian and, surprisingly, human. "They've been studying us," Dr. Kumar said, examining the station's data feed. "Using their advanced medical technology to cure human diseases, probably trying to understand our biology better." Sarah smiled grimly. "And in doing so, they've given us exactly what we need, a legitimate reason to approach their facility." The plan had originally called for the Nightingale to infiltrate a smaller meridian outpost, but this was an opportunity they couldn't ignore. A major medical facility would be connected to the Empire's entire biological network. If they could introduce the Prometheus Protocol there. "Alert the crew," she ordered. "New mission parameters. We're going to give the Meridians exactly what they expect. Desperate humans seeking their superior medical care." Over the next 12 hours, the Nightingale's crew worked tirelessly to enhance their cover. The rescued passengers became part of their disguise, genuine refugees with legitimate medical needs. Dr. Kumar modified their radiation exposure records, making them appear more severe, while Dr. Torres adjusted the ship's power signature to suggest increasingly critical systems failures. In her lab, Sarah made the final modifications to the Prometheus Protocol. The Meridian's organic technology was based on a sophisticated biological network, similar to a neural system. Their ships, their stations, even their weapons were all connected through this living network. It was their greatest strength, and potentially their greatest vulnerability. "The cultures are ready," she announced to her core team. "Once we introduce them into the Meridian facility's medical synthesis system, they'll appear as simple cellular samples. Their true nature won't activate until they reach critical mass within the network." "And then?" Maya asked, though they all knew the answer. "And then we find out if we really understand their biological technology as well as we think we do." Sarah sealed the culture containers, each one disguised as a standard medical sample. "Either we gain control of their entire organic network, or—" She didn't need to finish the sentence. They all knew the stakes. Humanity had tried fighting the Meridians with conventional weapons and failed. They tried negotiating and been dismissed as primitives. This was their last chance, using the Meridians' own arrogance against them. "New contact," Maya reported suddenly. "Meridian medical transport approaching. They're hailing us." Sarah straightened her uniform and nodded to the communications officer. This was the moment they'd been preparing for. Everything hinged on playing their part perfectly. The alien face that appeared on the screen was surprisingly humanoid, though its pearlescent skin and compound eyes marked it as clearly Meridian. "Human vessel," it said in accented English. "Our scans indicate you are carrying critical patients. Do you require assistance?" Sarah stepped forward, letting exhaustion and desperation show on her face. It wasn't entirely an act. The past months had taken their toll on all of them. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen of the Medical Transport Nightingale. We have multiple critical radiation exposure cases. Our treatment facilities are inadequate." The Meridian's expression shifted to one of professional concern, tinged with the subtle condescension they always showed toward human medicine. "Your vessel appears severely damaged. We will escort you to Medical Station Harmony for proper treatment." "Thank you," Sarah replied, allowing her voice to tremble slightly. "We are grateful for your help." As the communication ended, she caught the hidden smiles on her crew's faces. The Meridians were so convinced of their superiority that they never questioned a human ship seeking their advanced medical care. They would welcome the Nightingale into their facility, never suspecting that its primitive exterior concealed humanity's most sophisticated biological weapon. "Set course to follow our escort," Sarah ordered, "and may whatever gods exist forgive us for what we're about to do." The Nightingale turned gracefully, its engines still masquerading as primitive technology, and followed the Meridian ship toward the massive medical station. Inside its hidden chambers, the Prometheus Protocol waited silently. Medical Station Harmony was a marvel of organic engineering. As the Nightingale approached its docking tendrils, Sarah watched the living architecture pulse with streams of bioluminescent information. The station's outer membrane rippled like sea anemones, each movement serving a purpose in its complex biological systems. "Their biofilters are more sophisticated than our intel suggested," Dr. Torres reported from engineering. "The station's scanning us at the cellular level." Sarah's hands tightened on the command rail. They'd prepared for this, but seeing the station's true capabilities was sobering. Status of the Prometheus cultures: holding stable. The masking sequences are working. They register as normal human tissue samples. The docking procedure was unlike anything in human space. Instead of mechanical clamps, organic tendrils extended from the station, gently wrapping around the Nightingale's hull. Sarah felt a slight vibration as the living material began analyzing their ship's surface. "They're attempting to interface with our hull," Maya warned. "Cellular camouflage is responding as planned." Through the view screen, Sarah watched Meridian medical ships come and go. Each vessel was partially alive, their hulls showing the same organic patterns as the station. But something was different about their movement. They seemed less aggressive than the military ships they'd encountered before. A soft chime announced the arrival of their Meridian escort in the medical bay. Sarah straightened her uniform and headed down to meet them, her mind racing through their cover story one last time. As she walked, she passed rows of human patients, both their original refugees and the ones they'd rescued. Their conditions were genuine, their need for treatment real. The Meridian medical officer waiting for her was tall and willowy, its pearl-toned skin having a faint blue undertone that marked it as part of the healer caste. "Dr. Chen," it said, its voice surprisingly gentle. "I am Chief Healer Vax. We've reviewed your patient's conditions. The radiation damage is severe, but treatable." Sarah noticed something she hadn't expected in the alien's compound eyes: genuine concern. "Thank you for taking them," she said, and meant it. "Our facilities are limited. Come." Vax gestured with a many-jointed hand. "I will show you our treatment centers. Your human medical knowledge, while primitive, may help us better understand how to treat your species." As they walked through the station's organic corridors, Sarah saw something that made her pause. In a large treatment chamber, Meridian healers were working with human doctors. Actual collaboration, not just the condescending charity she'd expected. She watched as they treated a young human child, the Meridian organic technology gently repairing radiation damage that would have been fatal in a human facility. "You seem surprised," Vax noted. "Did you expect us to turn away those in need?" Sarah chose her words carefully. "Your military gives a different impression of your people." Vax's skin rippled in what Sarah recognized as their equivalent of a sigh. "The warrior caste sees everything as a potential threat. We healers see everyone as potential patients. Even your species, despite its technological limitations, has taught us much about resilience and adaptation." They passed another treatment room, where a Meridian organic synthesizer was producing customized medications. Sarah's trained eye recognized the complexity of the biological programming involved. Next to her, Dr. Kumar was practically vibrating with professional interest. "Your biological engineering is remarkable," Kumar said, his voice carefully modulated to show appropriate awe. "The way your systems adapt to different species." Yes, Vax seemed pleased by the interest. "Our medical technology evolves to meet each new challenge. We've made significant breakthroughs in treating human conditions by studying your unique biology." Sarah felt the weight of the hidden sample case in her medical bag. The Prometheus Protocol, once released into this facility's network, would turn all this healing technology into a weapon. The station's very adaptability would become its vulnerability, spreading their reprogrammed cells throughout the Meridian Empire. "Chief Healer," she said suddenly, "how many humans do you treat here?" "Currently, over 10,000, Vax replied. "Many are refugees from the war zones. The warrior caste's actions have caused much suffering, but here we can at least mitigate some of the damage. 10,000 lives. 10,000 humans being genuinely helped by the very technology she was about to corrupt." Sarah had known there would be moral complications to their mission, but seeing the reality of it, "Dr. Chen," Maya's voice came through her hidden communicator, "we're picking up some unusual activity in the station's neural network. They might be starting to detect." Sarah cut the transmission with a subtle gesture. "Chief Healer, I have some specialized tissue samples from our radiation cases. Would your synthesis lab be interested in analyzing them?" Vax's skin brightened with interest. "Of course, our biological computers can analyze them down to the quantum level. Perhaps they will help us better understand human radiation resistance." As they headed toward the synthesis lab, Sarah caught Dr. Kumar's eye. She saw her own moral struggle reflected there. They'd come to strike a blow against an enemy, only to find that enemy wasn't as monolithic as they believed. But then she remembered the burned colonies, the millions dead, the warrior caste's determination to eliminate humanity as a primitive threat. The healer's good works couldn't erase that reality. Sometimes, her mentor had told her, the hardest choices are between two kinds of wrong. The synthesis lab door opened, revealing banks of organic computers pulsing with life. Sarah's hand tightened on her sample case. Inside, the Prometheus Protocol waited to be unleashed, a virus designed to turn healing into warfare. "Where would you like me to place the samples?" she asked, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her heart. The moment of choice had arrived, and either way, she knew she would carry the weight of this decision forever. The organic computers of the synthesis lab pulsed with ethereal light as they processed Sarah's samples. She watched the Prometheus Protocol cells merge seamlessly into the station's biological network, their true nature still dormant, waiting. Chief Healer Vax stood beside her, compound eyes reflecting the shifting patterns of data. "Fascinating," the Meridian Healer said, studying the preliminary results. "Your samples show unusual adaptation patterns, almost as if." The alert came through Sarah's hidden communicator, Maya's voice tense but controlled. "Multiple Meridian warships just dropped out of hyperspace. They're heading straight for us." Sarah's heart raced, but her face remained professionally curious. "Is something wrong with the samples, Chief Healer?" Vax's skin rippled with complex patterns that Sarah couldn't quite interpret. "No, they're..." "Wait." The healer moved closer to the display, multifaceted eyes widening. "This cellular structure, it's not purely human." "Security alert." The station's organic speakers pulsed. All non-Meridian personnel returned to their vessels immediately. "This is not a drill." Sarah caught Dr. Kumar's subtle nod from across the lab. The Prometheus Protocol was already spreading through the station's systems, too late to stop it now. She turned to Vax, seeing genuine hurt in the healer's alien features. "You modified Meridian biotechnology," Vax said softly. "All this time, we thought humans couldn't possibly understand our organic systems. We were so certain of our superiority." "Not all humans are warriors," Sarah replied, echoing Vax's earlier words. "Some of us are healers too. We just heal in different ways." The lab's displays began to flicker as the Prometheus Protocol reached critical mass within the station's network. Outside, Sarah could hear the chaos of evacuation orders mixed with the approaching sound of Meridian security forces. Maya, she sub-vocalized into her communicator. Status. The protocol is spreading faster than expected, Maya reported. It's already reached the docked ships. But Dr. Chen, there's something different about how it's interacting with the medical systems. Sarah had noticed it too. The virus they'd designed to seize control of Meridian organic technology was behaving differently here than in their simulations. The medical station's more sophisticated biological computers were processing it in unexpected ways. The lab door burst open as Meridian security forces entered, their biomechanical weapons at ready. But before they could fire, the station's internal defense systems activated, responding not to Meridian commands, but to new instructions woven through the Prometheus protocol. Fascinating, Vax whispered, watching the security team's weapons power down automatically. You didn't just create a virus, did you? You created something that could speak to our technology in its own language. The entire station shuddered as the protocol reached its final stage. Through the lab's viewing windows, Sarah watched as the docked Meridian ships began to pulse with new patterns of light, patterns that matched the rhythms of human neural activity. Dr. Chen, Maya's voice was urgent now. The warships are powering up weapons, but their organic systems are refusing to target us. The protocol, it's evolving. On every display in the lab, the same message began to appear, written in both human and Meridian script. Neural architecture incompatible. Forced override rejected. Initiating cooperative integration protocols. Sarah stared at the message in disbelief. The Prometheus protocol, designed to seize control of Meridian organic technology, had instead done something entirely unexpected. Rather than overriding the alien systems, it was creating bridges between human and Meridian neural patterns. Your virus, Vax said, skin glowing with what Sarah now recognized as excitement rather than anger. It's not destroying our network. It's teaching it to understand human thought patterns, making it impossible for our technology to be used against your species. The security forces lowered their weapons, clearly receiving new information through their neural links. Outside, the Meridian warships hung motionless in space, their organic systems no longer responding to warrior-cased commands to attack. All this time, Sarah said, finally understanding what they'd actually created. We thought we were developing a weapon, but we actually made a translator. The Prometheus protocol, born from humanity's desperate attempt to survive, had evolved beyond its original purpose. In trying to understand Meridian organic technology well enough to control it, they had instead created a way for it to understand them. Through the station's windows, Sarah watched as more Meridian ships arrived. But their weapons remained silent. The organic technology that powered their civilization was rapidly being transformed, not into a slave to human commands, but into something that could bridge the gap between two species. Dr. Chen, Maya's voice came through again. You need to see this. The protocol. It's spreading through their entire network. Every Meridian ship, every station. They're all adapting. The warrior caste can't use them to attack humans anymore. The systems simply refuse. Sarah turned to Vax, seeing her own wonder reflected in those alien eyes. They had come here to strike a blow against an enemy, but instead might have found a way to force peace, not through destruction, but through understanding. What happens now? She asked the Meridian healer. Vax's skin rippled with colors Sarah had never seen before. Now we learn to work together. Because your virus has given us no choice, and perhaps that's exactly what both our species needed. The lab's displays continued to pulse with the new hybrid patterns of human and Meridian neural activity, a symphony of silence that was changing the course of two civilizations forever. 3 days after the Prometheus protocol's activation, Medical Station Harmony had become the unlikely center of a diplomatic revolution. Sarah stood in the newly repurposed central chamber, watching humans and Meridians work side by side at hybrid control interfaces that merged both species' technologies. The warrior caste is still demanding we find a way to purge the protocol, Maya reported, scrolling through communications logs. But their ships won't even power up weapons systems without both human and Meridian neural signatures present. Sarah nodded, studying the latest data from their monitoring systems. The Prometheus protocol had spread throughout the entire Meridian network, fundamentally changing how their organic technology functioned. But instead of the weapon they'd intended, they'd created something far more profound. "Show me the adaptation rates again," she asked Dr. Kumar, who was working with a team of Meridian scientists to understand exactly what their creation had done. The main display lit up with streams of data. The protocol hadn't just forced cooperation. It had started actively optimizing systems when humans and Meridians worked together. Ships responded faster, medical treatments became more effective, and new possibilities emerged as two different approaches to technology began to merge. "It's remarkable," Chief Healervac said, approaching with a group of both human and Meridian officials. "Your virus didn't just understand our technology. It understood both our species better than we understood ourselves." Sarah turned to face the mixed delegation. The past 3 days had been intense, filled with emergency meetings as both civilizations grappled with their new reality. The Meridian warrior caste had tried everything to regain control of their ships, while human military leaders had pushed to use their new advantage aggressively. But the Prometheus protocol had other ideas. "The latest tests are conclusive," Dr. Torres reported from the Nightingale, which now served as a testing ground for the hybrid systems. "The organic technology isn't just refusing to work without cooperation. It's actively teaching both species how to work together more effectively." On the station's outer ring, a Meridian warship was attempting its first officially sanctioned joint species trial. Its living hull pulsed with new patterns as human and Meridian crew members learned to work in concert, achieving performance levels that neither species could manage alone. "You have to appreciate the irony," Sarah said to Vax. "Both our species tried to prove our superiority, and instead we created something that proves we're better together." The Meridian healer's skin rippled with thoughtful colors. "Perhaps that's why your virus succeeded where our forced integration programs failed. It didn't try to make humans adapt to our way of thinking, or force us to think like humans. It created a genuine bridge." A commotion near the main doors drew their attention. A delegation of Meridian warrior caste officials was arriving, their normally imposing presence somewhat diminished by their inability to bring weapons into the station. Their organic armor, usually synchronized to their neural patterns, now pulsed with discordant lights. "Supreme Commander," Vax acknowledged their leader with appropriate respect. "Have you reviewed our latest findings?" The warrior's compound eyes fixed on Sarah with an unreadable expression. "We have confirmed that the protocol cannot be removed without destroying our entire technological base. You have forced our civilizations together in a way that cannot be undone." "Not forced," Sarah corrected gently. "Invited. Your ships and stations still work perfectly. They just work better when we cooperate. The choice remains yours." The Supreme Commander's skin darkened with emotion. "You claim this wasn't an act of war." "It was meant to be," Sarah admitted. "We designed it as a weapon, yes. But in trying to understand your organic technology well enough to control it, we ended up creating something that understood both our species, something that could see a better way." Around them, the station hummed with activity as joint human Meridian medical teams treated patients of both species. The organic computers processed data with unprecedented efficiency, guided by the combined insights of two different evolutionary approaches to problem solving. "Your warriors call us primitive," Sarah continued. "Your healers saw us as fascinating specimens. Neither really saw us as equals. The protocol doesn't force you to like us. It just shows you what we can achieve together." The Supreme Commander watched as a human doctor and Meridian healer successfully treated a complex neural condition using techniques that would have been impossible for either species alone. The patient was a warrior caste Meridian. "You have changed everything," the commander said finally. "But perhaps change was necessary." In the following weeks, the transformation spread far beyond military applications. Meridian organic technology, guided by the protocol's hybrid architecture, began adapting to serve both species in ways neither had imagined. Medical breakthroughs accelerated as human intuition combined with Meridian biological mastery. Space exploration expanded as ships powered by both technologies pushed beyond previous limitations. The Nightingale remained at Medical Station Harmony, transformed from a covert weapon delivery system into a symbol of the new cooperation. Sarah often stood in her old lab, now filled with both human and Meridian researchers, and marveled at how their desperate gamble for survival had evolved into something so much more. "We thought we were so clever," she told Dr. Kumar one evening, watching the station's new hybrid systems paint beautiful patterns across the void, designing a virus to turn their biological technology against them. Instead, we accidentally created something that could see the best in both our species. The Prometheus Protocol continued its work, not as a weapon of war, but as a bridge between civilizations. It remained in every Meridian system, not controlling but connecting, turning the organic technology both species now shared into a foundation for a future neither could have achieved alone. In the end, humanity's greatest victory came not from outsmarting their enemies, but from understanding them too well to remain enemies at all.